Barbadians told it could take up until year-end to get boats damaged by Hurricane Beryl back into the water. Local tourism stakeholders advised to make some changes to improve business. St. Andrew residents focusing on community tourism.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. Several innovations have been suggested to improve the performance of the hotel sector in Barbados. They include moving away from printed menus. Chairman of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Javon Griffith, proposed the changes in his address at the annual general meeting of the Intimate Hotels of Barbados at the Island Inn Hotel. Trevor Thorpe reports.
Several hotels around the world are moving away from printed menus, and local players are being advised to do the same. According to the BHTA official, QR codes are more cost-effective.
We always will try to oblige guests coming into the restaurant who ask for menus by making sure that they're available. But there's definitely been substantial cost reductions by not printing menu cards, which I was watching going into the garbage every week because wine threw away on it. It was soaked with water. I'm like, why are we doing this? This is money that could be better spent investing in maintenance, upgrading rooms, etc.
Pointing out the world is changing, Mr. Griffith, however, suggests keeping a few printed menus for some guests.
The entire back-end setup for the QR codes is about €150 a year. And that allows you to make up to 100 different QR codes. You simply go into the back-end, link your PDF menu to it. Guests open, scan, and that's it. The menu is right there on their phone. At the end of the day, how long does the guest spend with the menu open in their hands in the restaurant? They're ordering one starter, one main course, one dessert. They're not reading the Bible lesson. So this is the way I think that we need to look at these things in the future. But for the older guests, by all means, keep the physical menus there for them. They will need them. There are still some guests who come out at night with their little reading lamps and their little magnifying glasses, and I fully understand that.
He says management systems incorporating new technologies will be essential to the tourism sector going forward.
When it comes to hotel management systems, the first and foremost thing to look at is whether the system covers everything end to end. If it misses out on even a single area of your hotel operation, then switching is perhaps the right thing to do. Bet on a hotel property management system that not just manages bookings, but allows you to interconnect every department and lets you run your hotel with ease and from a single dashboard. Furthermore, a hotel management system should also be able to help you manage your point-of-sale outlets.
Several other initiatives were included in the new chairman's wide-ranging address. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Most boats damaged by Hurricane Beryl will not be back in operation until year's end, and those doing the work say it's not because of a lack of supplies. At least one boat builder is calling for a boat building program to be returned to the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute of Technology. Rachel Agard caught up with two of the technicians doing repairs and filed this report.
Boat repairs have begun in earnest, and it will take technicians until the end of the year to get damaged boats back into the water. Since the passing of Hurricane Beryl, boats are being hauled out of the water daily and taken to the various boatyards for repair. Terry Downs, who operates at Harbour Road, specializes in the repair of wooden vessels. He says sourcing mahogany is not difficult. However, the Honduras pine used for the hull planks might be harder to get.
Over the years, we're having a problem with the Honduras pine specifically for boats. You're getting Honduras pine with treated, which is, we can use it, but we prefer untreated. And
Mr. Downs has expressed concern about the lack of a haul-out facility in Barbados.
There's a problem with we're hauling up space too with boats. Boats used to haul up down by the port, and that's no longer available. And Concept Bay is still being worked on for the last 2 or 3 years or so. And that's why most of the boats are here now.
Meanwhile, fiberglass expert with A&T Marine Malcolm Thompson says he has met some challenges in getting damaged boats to his boatyard. He says working on them elsewhere is problematic as there is a lack of resources.
The contractor who is taking the boats out to the fishing complex, to get the boats here would have slowed up his operation a little bit, so we had to employ the services of a private high-ab operator to assist us. Assisting them in the yard will make it a lot easier because where the boats are stored right now, there's lack of facilities in that area. There's no water in some instances, no electricity in some instances, no proper toilet facilities for some instances.
He says material has not been difficult to source as most of the vendors have reduced the cost. He, however, believes there's a need for more boat builders on island, especially following the hurricane.
Having more boat builders on islands, it would have been a lot easier for the reintegration of these vessels back into the system. But seeing that the last boat building course ended at the SJPI in 2003, and there have been none since then, that's a big problem in Barbados, especially in the wood boat building arena. There are very few wood boat builders in Barbados that are still alive, and that's a dying trade here in Barbados.
But Mr. Thompson says he's willing to assist those interested in learning to improve the sector and return boats to the water. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Barbados is expanding the category of notaries public through the Notaries Public Bill 2024 that was brought before the Senate for debate. Ordinary citizens will soon be able to join the group. Under the legislation, the notary public will serve the public in non-contentious matters, authenticate documents related to immigration or marriage, and other areas. Leader of Government Business and Minister of Energy and Business, Senator Lisa Cummins, says it's all part of efforts to ease doing business in Barbados and making services more accessible to the public.
It establishes a training regime that ensures that they're able to function at the highest level. It allows for them to be maintained in a standard of conduct, but also to have a register which manages them. But ultimately, Mr. President, this is very much a part of the ease of doing business in Barbados. As you know, there are any number of circumstances under which the services of a notary public is required in the country. And so the ability of the members of the public to be able to find persons to perform these services, permanent secretaries are often traveling, they're often in meetings, they're often unavailable. Oftentimes persons who are judicial officers are before the court, or they themselves are dealing with matters in their private practice. And it oftentimes becomes very difficult to identify in a very narrow scope the persons who may be available to provide the services of a notary public.
The opposition Democratic Labour Party, meanwhile, has withheld its support for the Notaries Public Bill 2024. Senator Tricia Watson announced the stance as she again raised her concern over the time given for notice of bills. She told the upper house passing legislation is no joke, as she called for the seriousness in the Senate.
If anybody had asked me which bills we are going to debate today, notaries would not be on the list, because it has drifted out of our conscience, because it has been on the order paper for so long. And we prepared to debate it in March. We're in July, Mr. President, so I do not accept that as an excuse. What I'm asking for is civility, Mr. President, and we're talking about that in our country today and in the highest forum. As leader of opposition business, I cannot get that.
Senator Watson and her opposition counterpart Ryan Walters indicated they would play no further part in today's debate.
I am asking the government to do better, Mr. President. I am withholding my support of this bill. The opposition withholds its support, and we withhold our support of the other items on the agenda. For this very same reason, Mr. President, I am obliged.
Well, it was at that point that the opposition senators were seen packing up. Their seats were notably vacant at the end of the next speaker's presentation. Well, that prompted a response from Deputy President of the Senate, Her Honor Elizabeth Thompson. She criticized the opposition's decision to walk out of the chamber, given that they had more than adequate time to prepare for the bill. Senator Thompson notes it's the opposition's responsibility to use the resources available to it as a political party to prepare.
They are, after all, the government in waiting and not the waiting government in fighting. They are supposed to be able to do their work, particularly when they have 90 days to read a 29-page piece of legislation, and that the Honourable Senator would have chosen to abandon her duty to the public today, especially when her leader has said that he is supporting the legislation, is a matter of grave concern to me.
Independent Senator Andrew Malalou says there was more than enough notice on the Notaries public bill following protests from the opposition, but he's raised concerns about the number of times the House does not allow for the stipulated 5 days to pass between the first and second readings of a bill. The Senate's standing orders makes provision for a bill to be able to proceed at an earlier date if the President and the majority of senators present agree.
I certainly do not have any political party behind me to assist me. I certainly have no civil servants behind me to assist me. I simply have to go out to the community, go to the community that I know and do. So all I am asking for, sir, in supporting this bill, which I understand from the people I consulted with is an excellent bill and is a good step forward, and it has my full and complete support. I simply ask that in order for me to be the best senator and to serve this country as best I can, following the standing orders, having adequate notice, having some explanations would be very helpful, not only to me, but to be doing the business of the people.
The Notaries Public Bill 2024 was passed. Well, a big weekend coming up for the island's juniors. That story and more straight ahead. The government has strengthened its capacity and leadership in the digital space. The disclosure from Minister of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology, Marcia Cadell, as she addressed the audience during the Catapult Technology Summit held under the theme Regathering, Support Beyond the Screen. Minister Cadell participated in the summit, which was organized by the ministry and involved information technology teams from across government and local technology developers. She also explained how a partnership with the Barbados Defence Force is set to strengthen government's cybersecurity efforts.
Cybersecurity issues are national security issues. And so the Barbados Defence Force and the team there is now a part of that MIST-led national cybersecurity unit. That has all kinds of implications, and it has all kinds of opportunities. So for example, we know that soldiers are 24-hour creatures, 24/7. And so the partnership with the BDF allows us to understand how can we credibly stand up a CERT, have the resources on hand while we build out our own government capacity to do the surveillance and have the incident response to things that are happening.
During the summit, the appointment of software engineer, entrepreneur and finance expert Mark Boyce was announced as Chief Executive Officer of GovTech Barbados Limited. GovTech is the agency established to improve public sector modernization efforts. The CEO underscored the importance of a centralized digital transformation strategy.
There should be a central authority, which is GovTech, that makes sure that projects that are being undertaken are
anywhere in government,
across government, across central government, let's say,
yes,
are properly scoped. So rather than coming to GovTech with a fully formed technological solution, you come to us with a problem, and you say, well, we would like to have this fixed. and then we collaborate on scoping the solution to this problem and building or procuring the software or whatever else, whatever technological or other solution is necessary. It may not even be technology that's necessary to solve it.
General Secretary of the Congress of Trade Unions and Staff Associations of Barbados, Dennis DePisa, says government should put more manpower and resources into the Barbados Police Service instead of establishing a new organized crime unit. He says this unit is likely to duplicate the work already being done by specially trained police officers. Mr. DePisa was addressing a press conference this morning.
One of the problems that we all know is that there's a serious manpower shortage. And if you're going to create a unit, why not create a unit? If you're going to broaden the force so you can have a greater presence and, of course, a higher level of response, that I think is appropriate. But I don't, because we all know what the problem is. The problem lies within the communities, and we know where the blocks are. And from what we heard, we know that the authorities are engaging with the persons who are leaders of gangs. So there's no secret here. I think we need to get the action and to do what is necessary to get these gangs and the block culture under control.
Thousands of young people will be playing mass Saturday morning during this year's Junior Kadooment. Our Rianne Phillips caught up with some band leaders who are making last-minute preparations ahead of the big day.
Sewing machines are in overdrive as teams press ahead with costume production for Junior Kadooment 2024. In the Northern Mass Band House, it's a case of responding to last-minute orders.
In relation to Junior Kadooment, the numbers, I mean, carried them to 150, but after being sold out since last week, I had to increase my numbers to 25, and I think I'm not going past that capacity, because right now I'm working trying to finish up my individuals and king and queen for the competition.
In Kevin Small's Fifth Element camp, there are just a few tweaks to ensure everything is in place.
As the artist that I am, I had to rejig a couple of things just to make sure that I get what I want. I might have to work a little harder, but that is all a part of the game. Our theme for 2024 is fruit snack. We are actually featuring 5 sections: a local, a 5-finger, orange, watermelon, grape, and coconut. 230 masqueraders.
Over at Colors Entertainment, everything is pretty much done and dusted. Band leader Brian Worrell says they're just waiting for a handful of parents to collect on behalf of their children.
Junior Band is fully sold out. Distribution already happened last Saturday, getting ready for Saturday coming. The concept for the band this year is called Fun and Fantasy, where we're going to put an element of fairy tale and just simple fun and fuse it together, and that's the theme that we're going with. We have 4 sections this year, 300 kids. The sections are magical fairies, which is fantasy. We have crop over clowns, which is fun, right? That gives an idea. We have Red Riding Hood and the Wolves. And we have royalty, which is like a party prince and a party princess.
Apart from these bands, schools are expected to bring their own presentations for the event. Brianna Phillips, CBC News.
Well, some St. Andrew residents have decided to come together to establish their own community tourism projects, given the potential of the parish. Wendy Burt tells us the St. Andrew Development Commission has the endorsement of tourism officials.
It takes a village to do many things. The people of St. Andrew understand this, and that's why they've banded together to create tourism initiatives which will benefit everyone there. The idea comes from the St. Andrew Development Commission, which was formed in 2023 and is looking to enrich the lives of residents. Selena King, one of the directors, spoke to the value their parish brings to the local tourism product.
We were inspired by the undying spirit of community and the transformative power of tourism, hence our slogan, empowering communities through tourism. This commission embodies our commitment to uplift, empower, and celebrate the heart of St. Andrew. St. Andrew is a picturesque parish brimming with history, heritage, and culture that we are eager to showcase to the world through our eyes. So what led us here today? It was a collective recognition of this potential, a shared belief that within our communities lies the key to a brighter future. It is in the stories of preservation, in the dedication of our residents, and in the natural and astounding beauty that surrounds us.
Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated, Andrea Franklin, says the charity is very timely.
The timing of this launch is in keeping with global trends. Community-based tourism is gaining greater significance around the world as a means of not only providing collective economic enfranchisement, but also encouraging the adoption of environmentally sustainable practices amongst locals. And I heard Selena saying that they've been doing their research, and in the research it clearly shows that visitors are seeking these types of experiences as they travel, trying to immerse in communities and also give back to communities as well.
And the Member of Parliament for the area, Dr. Ramel Springer, agrees that St. Andrew is well placed for rural tourism.
St. Andrew is a gem. It has a rich cultural heritage, and it's the home of many, many sports persons. I was going to say sportsmen, but there are also some outstanding females. We would have produced Deandra Dottin, so I like to jot her in there, since we're in that cricketing spirit and vibe. Some outstanding sports persons. Our parish boasts unique traditions, historical landmarks, and a vibrant, very vibrant community spirit, all of which are valuable assets to our tourism industry.
A highlight which will soon be on the calendar is the St. Andrew Heritage Festival, which culminates with the St. Andrew Carnival. The Commission is encouraging businesses in the area and island-wide to come on board. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
Time for sports now, as we're joined tonight by Damien Best. Damien, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Some cricket news first up. A 59-run unbroken ninth wicket partnership between Jatario Prescott and Kyron King has given Barbados the advantage over Ghana on day one of Series 2 at the West Indies Rising Stars Men's Under-19 two-day championship in St. Vincent. Playing at Arnottsville Field, Barbados Under-19s made 201 for 9 declared, with Prescott not out on 75 and King on 20. Right-arm medium pacer Goltran Kolai took 5 for 51. In reply, Ghana Under-19s were 62 for 5 at the close of play, trailing Barbados Under-19s by 139 runs with 5 wickets remaining. Right-arm medium fast bowler Renico Smith so far has 3 for 12. Well, there are no changes to the West Indies team for the second test against England. The regional side suffered a heavy innings defeat against the hosts in the first match at Lord's and will be aiming for a stronger showing in the second game. Well, the International Cricket Council will be launching an investigation into why the USA leg of the recently concluded Men's T20 World Cup ran way over budget. 16 of the 55 World Cup matches were hosted in the U.S. Now the ICC board, which meets this weekend in Colombo, will zoom in on claims that costs of the U.S. leg significantly overshot the original budget. They will also discuss why that might have been the case and who should be held responsible for it. According to one director, the ICC board had initially approved a budget in the range of 40 to 50 million US dollars for the U.S. leg of the tournament. However, on the eve of the World Cup, T20 World Cup USA Inc. sent in a request for an additional $20 million. Several directors expressed reservations about the inflated expenditure, leading to the request for the loan, among them Cricket West Indies President Dr. Kishore Shallow. Other heads of full member boards also had their concerns.
In business, the Barbados Manufacturers Association is supporting its members in their commitment to upholding high production standards and maintaining good public health practices. Consumers are being assured that most local manufacturers adhere to strict production standards, with several producers achieving international accreditation and meeting the required quality control best practices. President of the BMA, Marrakesh Bernard, says that while on occasion there may be areas of concern, local manufacturers are competing and producing on an international level.
Many of our manufacturers within the BMA meet the international standards on quality management, occupational health and safety, environmental management, and energy management. We export to countries all over the world and are able to compete. The industry as a whole is able to compete on standards internationally. However, we recognize that as in international manufacturing plants, there will be matters of concern from time to time. This is true in international manufacturing as well as local manufacturing.
Meanwhile, Executive Director of the BMA, Sade Boyce, outlined some of the ongoing training offered to local manufacturers.
The Barbados Manufacturers Association, we continue to provide training and educational support to our local manufacturers. In February this year, we assisted in the facilitation of training of members along with other developmental partners. Training was done in the area of preventative controls for human food in particular. This included food safety planning, the implementation of good manufacturing practices, biological food safety hazards, enforcement of recall plans, and evaluation of risks.
The $50 million Welch's Commercial Center is not meant to be a mall, but a large-scale commercial retail park. The revelation from project developer Justin Oran, who tells the Business Report they have developed and delivered on the concept. He says a cross-section of the retailers and service providers will make up the list of businesses when the commercial complex opens in a few weeks' time.
There will be a fitness center. There will also be fashion stores, an urgent care, computer and technology, and convenience and pharmacy.
More than 100 artisans and technical specialists are employed on the multi-million-dollar project. Time now for tonight's trading report.
In Jamaica, Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited, with 18,705,465 units, was the volume leader, followed by Lasco Distributors Limited and the Jamaica Broilers Group. In Trinidad and Tobago, Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader, with 110,030 shares changing hands, for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $386,157.88, followed by First Caribbean International Bank Limited. And here in Barbados, Goddard Enterprises Limited was the volume leader, trading 3,475 shares at Barbados $3 each, and they were followed by Insurance Corporation of Barbados Limited.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we'll see you tomorrow.